And we're alive. It's alive.
Hey, it's alive. It's a national. We're recording on the holiday today, right? Martin Luther King Day.
It is MLK Day today. Yeah.
Yeah. We got the inauguration today, so I'm interested. Activity. How many people are working, and through this.
It has been. I'm leaving on a trip tomorrow morning for NAMM, and as usual, that means that I had things that I needed to get done today in order to feel like I was all the things, and it was like I had almost no interruptions today. I was able to. Yeah. It was kind of like working on a weekend, and that's a valuable thing too. I agree. There's a not necessarily all the time.
I agree. I'm just posting.
Yeah, same. Yeah, but yeah, today was not a lot of people were working today, and it was wonderful.
Sponsoring these episodes at Shopify. Okay. All right. That's great. Perfect. Cool. If you're joining us live, we're just getting ready to record. We're going to record 2 episodes of Business Brain. One for Wednesday, the 22nd. That's going to be episode 616. Is that right, Dave?
Right. I agree with that. Yes.
Okay, great. And then another episode for Friday, the 24th, which will be 617.
It is how math works.
That's it. One after another. It just marches right on. The episodes keep going. That is fantastic. And that's great. I'm looking forward to talking about I need to pull this up because I got one of my topics I want to discuss about. That open recent. There we go. Okay. I could be ready whenever you are.
Yeah,
Mr.
man.
Hamilton. Yeah.
That is who they tell me I am supposed to be.
Yes. I always say that's my father, but
yeah.
That's it. Now that I'm older, I should say.
Yeah. Well, as I like to say when people complain about, and not that you were complaining, but when people complain about getting older, I always say, well, I hear it's better than the alternative.
Yes, it is.
That's what I hear. I can't speak to that though.
Well, it's and this is related to one of the topics I want to discuss. There's benefits to youth and benefits to age.
It is true.
It is true.
It is true that I'm sure I'll say this in perhaps this way, but in some way during the episode when you bring it up, the biggest sadness about that, sadness is the wrong word, is that when you're older, to leverage the benefits of age.
Yes.
When you're younger, you do not.
Oh, we'll talk about this on the show.
Okay.
I disagree.
Great.
Yeah, it's good.
Great.
I disagree. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
perfect.
I understand where you're going with that.
Yeah.
I'll point out how
it can work.
It
Yeah.
can work. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm ready.
Yeah, same. Did I get that right? I got that right. Yep. Here we go. Business Brain, episode 616 for Wednesday, January 22nd. Answer your cat's questions day. They have questions. They need answers. 2025. Greetings, folks, and welcome to Business Brain, the show where we take some of your questions sometimes, some of our thoughts, some ideas that have come into the show, and we dissect them, we analyze them, we use them to tune our business brains so that each and every one of us, including those of us here behind the microphones, can better our charmed lives. Speaking of bettering your charmed life, Shopify.com/businessbrain is where you can go to sign up for a $1 per month trial period. We will talk more about that in a little bit and how great that can be. For now, here in what is very cold when we're recording, Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton.
Yeah, not here in sunny California, but it's also very cold, at least for us Californians out here. I'm Shannon Jean. Good to have you back, man.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
you're getting ready to leave again.
Again, man. Yep. I'm going to be, it's been interesting. I am, well, when these episodes come out, I'll be at NAMM, the North American Music Makers Conference.
Oh, nice.
Music Merchants, I think, conference is what it is. Yeah. But it is essentially the conference for the music industry. We'll talk a little bit more about that. I think in Friday's episode, I have some things to say about this. And then I'm home for a full day before I fly to Mexico for a quick little vacation with Lisa to see some concerts.
Awesome.
So,
that's good. You're going to Fish down there?
We are going to see Fish down there again.
Good for you.
It has become an annual thing.
Yeah,
it is.
Awesome.
I am happy to publicly say this, and I'll look an IRS agent straight in the face and say it. It is the Backbeat Media annual meeting.
Of course. Genius. Absolutely.
100% write-off.
You have to meet somewhere.
You got it, and you get one per year per business.
That's it. You can't highlight that too much there. That, taking an annual trip to meet with your team at some awesome venue.
I need the team to want to attend, so it can't be somewhere crappy, man.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Can't go to the, some junky little motel in the middle of nowhere.
No, it's not going to work out.
You go to Mexico, go whatever you want. Yeah,
yes.
I love it.
The business can afford it. It's great.
Yeah, that's good. Hey, before we started, we were talking about age and youth versus, I don't know, being older or whatever. And I want to talk about in my head right now. I'm working through this concept of, Charlie Munger, which is Warren Buffett's former partner, always talked about these people and companies that found a wave, rode a wave, something. And wrote it long. You can just look at these, very successful people and very successful companies that have rode waves.
Yeah.
And whether it's changing how retail works, how nobody, the stores are gone and you buy everything on Amazon or your social media, anything you could think about.
You and I rode an Apple wave.
Well, I've got that on my list. I rode that wave.
Yes.
So I have a few examples. One of them is the age thing, but you mentioned Apple. When I first got into technology business with Apple was in dire straits.
Same. We got in at the same time.
At the same time. Yeah.
It was so bad. My favorite way to highlight this, at the Mac Observer, we had a running feature that we called the Apple Death Knell counter.
I remember that.
Of course, it was one of the things that kind of we became known for. And we wrote an article every time someone predicted the death of Apple. Now, they became less and less frequent. But I think we hit, I think it was the 70s, high 60s, or low 70s.
So.
There were a ton of them. Yeah, legitimate, not just some idiot saying it, but like somebody with an audience.
That's right. Yeah.
And it turns out they were always wrong.
They were, thankfully.
But they had reason to be right early on.
They did. And one of the things about being successful riding waves or trends is that learning how to ride them up and down or down and up, whatever way you want to look at it. So when sticking with this Apple, concept here, that company, when I got involved with them, the way that we rode that wave is they were so inefficient at the time that there were so many problems with their supply chain and logistics and the companies that they had let sell their products. I mean, they were you could buy them at Staples, Sears. I mean, all these vendors that could have cared less what they sold, and it was just like another appliance, like a toaster, which was a huge mistake. And as all those problems were going on, there was just tremendous opportunities in the market to go buy that product and get deals on that product. Otherwise, you couldn't get. And then on the flip side, when they got their act together, we rode all the way up as Apple developed the products that people could not live without, right? The phone in your pocket. The iPod was like one of the first ones. I can remember going, well, we got to figure these iPods out. How do I get into this business? And I went and bought like 500 iPods from a company that was, dealing with returns. And I think it's the same with age, Dave. You mentioned when you're young, you don't really know. But for me, so when I was young, I still am very ambitious.
Explain what you mean, because you said something. If we're gonna relay our pre-show conversation, you said there are benefits to being old and there are benefits to being young.
Correct.
And the comment I made in response to that was, when you're old, it's great because you know that there are benefits to being old and you can intentionally take advantage of them. But when you're young, you don't quite have the wisdom that you have when you're old, so you don't necessarily know how best to leverage those traits that are beneficial of being young.
That's right. And I disagreed, but there's nuance to it, of course.
Oh, there's nuance.
That's why we're talking. That's
why we do this.
So, for me, when I was just getting out of college or even during college, I was super ambitious. I still think I'm super ambitious, but I was young and I was around older people that were impressed with that ambition. And it would be like, man, look at that kid go, because I just was grinding nonstop. And it was, I don't know what it was, but it attracted attention. And it kind of thrust me into roles that were definitely beyond my capacity at that time, but it forced me to learn how to do things. It forced me to learn how to manage people twice my age. It forced me to learn how to hire people twice my age because I needed experts because, like you said, I did not know.
You don't know it, yeah.
But I did understand that this was a unique time, and I did learn how to use or exploit's a negative word, but to take advantage of, to take
capitalize
advantage,
on.
Capitalize, that's the word.
Yeah.
I learned how to capitalize on how young I was, and especially because I looked very young. Even though I was like in my early 20s, I probably looked like I was 17.
It helps to look young, says the guy who nobody believes me when I tell him how old I am. And
me too.
It's beneficial, right?
It is beneficial. It is beneficial. On the flip side, now that I'm
and if you shaved your
older,
beard, you'd look younger, by the way.
Even younger. I know that. I
know you know that.
I was growing it in the wintertime. But on the flip side, now that I'm older, I also have another benefit is that I have more credibility and I have more experience and I have gray hair. And so people listen to me a little bit more. And it's just a different way to ride the wave of how old you are or age, youth versus being experienced or something like that. They're actually having some wisdom from, experience.
Yes.
So I think that, and it's, again, I don't want to say like I'm trending down, but my age is trending down, right? And so
your age is trending up, Shannon. It's kind of how it works. This is not a bad thing.
That's true. No, you're right. You're right. It's trending up.
It's interesting. I've, as I'm sure many of us have, I've thought a lot about this, and there are common traits to young people and old people. And when you're young, the benefits of your brain, right? Your brain changes, right?
It does.
The young brain, generally speaking, and of course there's exceptions to all of this, but generally speaking, the young brain is very good at remembering lots of things fairly accurately, and is not so good at seeing the big picture. Now, that can be leveraged in a good way. If you're not seeing the big picture, you might wind up taking risks that a wiser person would say that's not going to pay off. But you at worst you learn something from that, right? Mistakes are our tuition, and at best the risk pays off, and you get some benefit. As we get older, our ability to remember things as accurately diminishes as our brains change and allow us to see much bigger pictures as we get older. And what I love about that is that we have devices that are really good at the former, at the things we're good at when we're young, remembering things. Our devices are better than even the perfect, the most, not perfect, but the best young person, right? If you've got all the stuff in your phone, you don't have to remember. And yet, now as older people, we get the benefit of our brains evolving and or adapting and seeing the big picture. So
makes sense. I also love as you get older, there's kind of a softening of memories of trauma. Let's call it that, especially in business, the ups and downs. And you look back with this kind of fondness of something that maybe happened 10 years ago or 20 years ago. And you say, oh, that wasn't that bad. Let's do it again, or let's try it again, or let's take another risk. And my wife will always point out, she's like, that was horrible. You hated that. And I'm like, yeah, but maybe not. So the key is, I think for me, the up and down, another quick example of going up as the .com, boom took off in the early 2000s.
Yeah,
man, I was in the right place at the right time. Technology was great. We were selling everything we could. And then when the .com crash came along, that's how I learned to buy liquidation products, because all these
what else were you going to do? Yeah,
I was flying around the country when Sprint and MCI and Pets.com and Webvan. I think I'm sitting in a chair that I bought at a Webvan auction right now.
Nice.
And Herman Miller chair. And so learning to ride up and learning to ride down is the way you make it in the waves.
All right, folks, look, it's a new year, and let's be honest with each other like we always are. How many of us spent the holidays daydreaming about launching our next big idea, right? Maybe you've been stuck on the what ifs. What if it doesn't work? But better yet, what if it does? That's where our sponsor, Shopify, comes in. I use Shopify for merch with 2 of my businesses, and let me tell you, it's so easy, it feels like cheating. In minutes, you can create your store with customizable templates, no coding required. Shopify handles everything: shipping, taxes, payments, and even connects all your social channels so you can sell everywhere your customers are scrolling. And here's a wild part. If Shopify were a person, I'd put it in charge of my calendar because it's that efficient. Don't wait another year to act on your idea. Established in 2025 has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/businessbrain, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/businessbrain to start selling with Shopify today. Shopify.com/businessbrain. And our thanks to Shopify for sponsoring this episode. Shannon, I mentioned I'm going to be taking some trips these next couple of weeks, and I talked about how I am making one of them. They're both very tax advantaged. They're both business trips, and even though one of them on the surface might not look like it, it is.
Yep.
You said you've got a trip coming up. That you're also leveraging to lead the charmed life. What's that about?
Yeah, so we've talked about this a lot on the show, but I came down from my office back down to the house the other night, and Renee goes, "Hey, it's a big birthday this year," because like we just talked about, time marches on, and so she says, "Do you want a big party or do you want to go on a trip?" And I said, "Oh, let's go on a trip." So she booked this trip. It's about 12 nights. We're going to St. Lucia, I guess is how you pronounce it. And staying at this 5-star resort.
Nice.
And a few days in New York City on the backside, totals about 12 days. And the total cost for us all in on this trip is $281.34.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And so 705,000 Bonvoy Marriott points.
Yep.
And about 185 or so, or 120,000 JetBlue points to cover the flights down there. And
how much cash? I want to put this in the show notes just so we have it.
$281.34 is what we're spending.
That's it.
Yeah. And it would have cost about $10,000. Yeah, I think the total trip.
Yeah, I was when you said cash, I knew where you were going with it, but I was thinking, doing the math in my head, and it's like, this is a $10,000 to $12,000 trip.
Like I
mean, you're going to spend cash on meals and things like that. Obviously,
this place is all inclusive, but I know we will buy. Yeah.
Okay.
All
Yeah.
inclusive, yeah. So we'll figure it out.
All right. So maybe,
I'm sure it'll be
well, New York,
upgrades.
you'll spend a couple grand. What are you there?
Yeah, of
3
course.
days? That's about $3,000. Yeah.
That's right. But, all of it is because we figured out long ago how to put every single business expense or personal expense we can on these cards, these affinity cards that have points, or whether it's flights. And I mean, I like to use the Bonvoy Amex because I think the hotels, the flights you can really master and get down in price a lot better, but the hotels are crazy expensive.
Yep.
And the points are terrific. And
I use Bonvoy points. I really try not to use my Bonvoy points for business trips because like why bother?
Yeah, sure.
That said, it's not terribly difficult to make most trips into a business trip, at least as far as the hotel expense goes.
That's right.
So I backed off from my hard and fast rule years ago, and it was South by Southwest that did it because the hotel that I stay at is literally across the street from the convention center. It's right
awesome.
where you want to be. Yep. It's one of those residence inns. I'm usually there for 7 or 8 days, so it's really nice to have a kitchen as opposed to just a hotel room.
Yep.
But I think they want $500 a night for it. Ooh. Yeah, and I can do it usually for 200,000 Marriott points. Yeah. I have to check every week though, because it's a limited window when they are open. But it's fine. Like I'm fine using it for that because what I look at is points per dollar. Like
That's exactly what you should look at.
Yes. What is it costing? What would I spend in cash versus what am I getting out of these points? And if you keep a spreadsheet on that, you will find that sometimes it is 100% worth paying the cash for the hotel room.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and there's lots of promos they have. Like we're getting one night free after you stay a week. You get 4 or 5 days. You get a night for free, and lots of upgrades and different things. But the key is this stuff is just money on the table that you can walk by and pick up. It costs you.
It literally
nothing.
is
Right.
Yeah,
and it does take some effort in managing it and figuring out the best way. Spreadsheets. Everybody, I posted about this, and people talk about the Chase card, this, and the Ink card, this, that, and the other thing. And all the cards are different. Some people love cash back. It depends on the stage of your life that you're at, I think. And I think you can have multiple of these cards. Some that give you cash back, some that are travel, some that are airlines, or some that are hotel. The key is figuring out the system that brings you the most benefit. Like,
yes.
I love this Amex card for earning these points, but like I also have a Amex Plum card that gives you the option of you can get because we're grandfathered in now, it's only 2%, but we can get 3% cash back on our purchases or 60 days interest free. And there's no limit on this card. So if I'm buying inventory and I want to buy $500,000 in inventory and carry it for 60 days, well, I can often flip it in that 60 days. If I flip it in 30 days, I can pay it off and get my 3% back.
Oh, yeah,
Or they'll carry this deal for me for 60 days. So there's
that's short money. Yeah, that's
huge.
Yeah,
it's huge. And I've done it over and over and over. And we'll have to look up, if you just go up to businessbrain.show and search for credit cards or whatever, you'll find multiple
I'll put a couple
episodes.
links in the show notes.
That'd be good.
I have before we wrap up, I have a quick question for you folks. Feedback at businessbrain.show. I want to know, do you, is it in your personality? And any answer is okay. I'm just really curious about, I want as many of you to answer as you can, because I'm curious how many of us, and are you one of those people that likes spreadsheets, or do you do you push away from them? And because I've always said, I think with spreadsheets, like I as soon as I start one of these things, if I can't do the math in my head, if there's too many things too many balls to hold in the air, I immediately go and create a spreadsheet for it and start relating all the numbers together. And that's how I find, like I said before, whether it's worth to pay for, use points or not for a hotel room. I do it every year for our health insurance to figure out, okay, and then I can regression test it against previous years. Okay, here's what we actually spent. Here's what we did. Did it pay off? Did it not? And it takes me 5 minutes because I've built this spreadsheet over the course of 10 years, right? So
Absolutely.
I'm curious. I know I'm not alone, but amongst us business brain folks here, I'm curious how many of us think in spreadsheets. So let us know. Feedback at businessbrain.show. I think there's something about that. I don't know what I don't know what's there, but your answers are going to help teach us.
Yeah, I don't know how you couldn't be in love with a spreadsheet when it gives you.
But we're all
the best
different.
answers. We are all different,
and that's why I'm asking the question.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I can't imagine not being in like it. I don't have to spend any discipline points to put a spreadsheet together. I love it.
No, I love it
and
too.
that's my question is, do you love them, folks? Let us know. Feedback at businessbrain.show.
Awesome.
Thanks for hanging out. Also, please review the show. businessbrain.show/review. We love to get those, and they really do help kind of build up the show and bring more audience in and grow
Absolutely.
the Business Brain family. So thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you Friday. And we're out.
Awesome. That's great.
That was fun.
Yeah.
We do have, for next week's shows, I want to make sure we bring in, we've got a few listener mail stuff.
Terrific.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great. So for the 558 of you that are watching the live stream, we take a little mid-show or mid-episode break here, and Dave is going to...
I was going to say it's a break for all of you.
Yes, Dave has to do some work now.
I do.
So that I can do the work after the show to finish up the production of it and get it going so we can get these posted.
I do the pre and mid show work. Shannon does the post show work. It's a beautiful little division of labor. Yeah. I love it. It's great.
It works out great. Yeah, I think it works out terrific as well. And but if you are live streaming, if you do listen to the show, man, a review would be amazing. There's 565 of you listening. If 5 of you went and left a review at
1%,
at businessbrain.show/review, it's life-changing for us. And the show's not free, of course. We're always looking for sponsors. So the more reviews we get more great sponsors like Shopify and some of the other ones that we have. Oh, look at that. That's so fancy. I love it. That's great. Yeah, it's good. 570 up there now. That's wonderful. Sounds good. I see more coming in from the Business Brain X account, which I
do too. I like that.
I think that's great. That's very good. I want to grow that account. That's terrific.
Okay.
And
boom. Oh,
awesome.
I gotta pull this in.
Perfect. I was just posting about, I met a guy a few years ago. We were talking about niches and small niches. I met an eBay seller that sells motorcycle parts. An older guy, does I think about $3 million a year in eBay sales. And his niche is he only sells parts for motorcycles that are 100 years old or older.
Oh.
So, yeah, pretty interesting, right? And I was like, wait, what? And when he told me that, he's like, yeah, that's where the money's at. And I said, how does that work, dude? And so he built a house out in California, and he's from back east. And one of the things he wanted was a basement, which we don't have basements here unless you live on a hill, on the top of a mountain. They build down. We have quasi basement here because we're on a hill.
Sure.
But he dug a big hole and built a basement that he could drive these motorcycles down. It has like a ramp that goes out from his, and he tears apart these things and goes out and sources parts for 100-year-old or more motorcycles. So I always remember that example. If somebody says, well, my niche is pretty small, it's pretty specific, I don't know if I can make any money. Like,
no, that's where you'll make money.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my experience.
Yeah.
The riches are in the niches.
The niches, that's right. Is it niche or niche?
Well, either one, but when I'm saying it that way, the riches are in the niches, I go with that pronunciation. Yeah.
Yeah. It's with whatever it rhymes with at the time.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
It's successful rappers.
Poetic license.
They've learned that years ago.
Absolutely.
To make it rhyme, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Very good.
Okay. I am almost finished here.
Okay. That's great. That's good. There's 583 of you watching up on X and Facebook. That's terrific. And that's fantastic. I love to see
All right. I believe I'm ready. Yeah, why
That's
not?
great. Stick around. We're going to talk about how the title of this next episode is 10 Years to Overnight Success.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay. I'm ready to rock if you are, my friend.
I am ready.
Let's do it. Business Brain, episode 617 for Casual Friday, January 24th, Macintosh Computer Introduction Day, 2025. Greetings, folks, and welcome to Business Brain, the show where we take some ideas, we crunch them, we dissect them, we use them to tune our business brain so that each and every one of us gets to keep on or start or enhance living our charmed lives. Our sponsor for this episode is Shopify.com/businessbrain. That's where you can go to sign up for a $1 per month trial. And you can upgrade your selling today. Keep that charmed life going. Here in Durham, New Hampshire, I'm Dave Hamilton.
And out here in California, I'm Shannon Jean. I love Shopify, man.
Same.
Super empowering, easy to set up. They just super incredible for entrepreneurs that, especially if you're just getting started, want to experiment.
Even if you're not,
then have the capacity to just ramp up to the moon.
Yeah,
you don't have to switch platforms.
There's no limit. Right?
It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, it's great.
It's really very cool.
I was shoveling snow, Shannon, ahead of heading out to Los Angeles, where I will be when this episode releases. Actually, I'll be in Anaheim most of the time. I don't have to specify that, but with everything that's going on,
I think that was going to be my next question. Where in LA are you going?
Exactly. Which is why I proactively answered. Yep. Yeah. So Anaheim should be okay. If it's not, obviously I won't go. But shoveling snow. And I was thinking about this conference that I'm going to. It's the NAMM conference. North American Music Merchants is the name. It is the sort of hub of the music industry, if you will. All kinds of people go there. The people who make instruments and software and hardware for musicians. Musicians go. There's bands playing. Some bands that you've heard of. Most bands you probably haven't. But lots of musicians that you've heard of. And then all of like the front of house engineers that mix all the band. Like you've
the
definitely
business
of music, right? Is here. Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. And I was thinking about this. I was invited to attend as press as media because of my Gig Gab podcast. And I was thinking, well, that's pretty cool. Like I've always been a fan of music. I've been a musician for as long as I can remember. I've always been in sort of my corner of the music industry. But to be recognized by the more and more of the industry itself and invited into being a part of that. And it's not just NAMM that invited me. Like there's tons of vendors there that are like super happy that I'm going to be there and, inviting me to their events and parties and, awesome. Those sorts of things. It's like, oh, look what I've done. Like I said to myself, you did it again. And what I meant by that was I did this in the Apple/tech industry, and now here I've done it again. But what most of the industry doesn't quite see is how long it took, because Gig Gab, the show that has this presence for me. I mean, it's a show I co-created. Is in its 10th year, exactly like Business Brain. In fact, ironically, it started on literally the same day that Business Brain did. But it went for 9 years in one format with a co-host and my co-creator, Paul Kent. He wound up leaving the show because his schedule got too difficult to be a part of it on a regular basis anymore. It got really stressful for him. And there were times, I mean, COVID was a time where we could have easily been like, well, there's nothing to talk about as a working musician. Like, might as well pull the plug. We didn't. There were other times where, like I said, our scheduling was difficult to make happen. Would have been super easy to pull the plug. It was even discussed. We didn't. And that bullheaded persistence let me get to year 10 where I suddenly had to figure out what else to do with the show. And so I started bringing all these people in. And I found, oh my gosh, like, I can do that. I can bring in someone like Buck Dharma, the guy who co-founded, Blue Oyster Cult, or all the drummer from Train I had on.
Sure.
I'm pulling out names that might sound familiar, but I've also got people that are equally, or perhaps even more, valuable to our listeners that would also not have spent their time with me if the show didn't have some level of cachet, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And that cachet doesn't happen without the prior 9 years worth of work. And so it's this thing that appears, and I totally understand why it appears this way. I take no resentment or I have no negative feelings about it, but it seems like, wow, that's, overnight success. And it took 10 years. And I know that this is a thing we all know sort of from a catchphrase thing. It's like, oh, overnight success takes 20 years. In this case, it took 10. But what I love about this is I have the receipts. You can go back and look at exactly what it took to get here. And I'm hoping that can be inspiring to someone to say, oh, wait, it does pay off. You have to put in the time. You have to put in the work. And as I was thinking about that, Shannon, I thought about a parallel path that happened literally alongside me with that. And it's you. We started this show the same day, almost 10 years ago. Almost exactly 10 years ago, in fact, and by 1 month. And we did this. I think you were always an influencer. You always had the influencer creator thing inside you. You were doing a lot of that with your newsletter at Tech Restore and all that.
Right.
But doing this on a weekly basis certainly is at least part of, and perhaps an important part of, the path that led you to becoming a content creator, a coach, all of the things that have blossomed for you in the last year that people who don't know this backstory think overnight success. Look what he did. He just launched and did this thing. It's like, well, did he though? He didn't.
No.
I know. Yeah. Right. Yeah, exactly.
Right. No. I mean, I think this show has got, it helped me to get more comfortable talking about these concepts. It helped me get more comfortable talking about my successes. It certainly helped me get more comfortable talking about my failures.
Yeah.
And it also helps me, continues to this day, helps me flush out ideas.
Flesh out.
Things.
We also flush them out.
We flush them too. Yeah. Flush out ideas. And things that have become part of the lexicon of my life, like mistakes or tuition or this or that, and all kinds of concepts that we've discussed between ourselves and with other people and guests that have come on the show. And I believe, I don't think it would have led me. It led me to be much more comfortable becoming a content creator because I've been sharing for 10 years, right?
Yes.
And now when I went on X last year and started in January, it was just another level of sharing. And I had a massive head start on someone that was just
weren't just starting out.
No,
that's the thing.
So it became another form of telling stories and all this kind of stuff. And I'll just share. I'll be transparent here.
Actually, wait.
Build in public.
Wait to be transparent because I want you to share how much you've made from this.
Yeah.
I also have some anecdotes to share that I think will be inside about you. You might have some about me. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we've got more to share. All right, folks, look, it's a new year, and let's be honest with each other like we always are. How many of us spent the holidays daydreaming about launching our next big idea, right? Maybe you've been stuck on the what ifs. What if it doesn't work? But better yet, what if it does? That's where our sponsor, Shopify, comes in. I use Shopify for merch with 2 of my businesses, and let me tell you, it's so easy, it feels like cheating. In minutes, you can create your store with customizable templates, no coding required. Shopify handles everything, shipping, taxes, payments, and even connects all your social channels so that you can sell everywhere your customers are scrolling. And here's a wild part. If Shopify were a person, I'd put it in charge of my calendar because it's that efficient. Don't wait another year to act on your idea. Established in 2025 has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/businessbrain, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/businessbrain to start selling with Shopify today. Shopify.com/businessbrain. And our thanks to Shopify for sponsoring this episode. So, people who listen to this show, Shannon, know you as a very candid person. You are happy talking about your mistakes. You know that they have value. You know that they are tuition. And that is true. I don't mean to refute that at all. But I want to highlight how much of an evolution that actually is. Because you talk about your $1 million mistake. And people can go back and listen to this story. And you said, to yourself at the time that it happened, you weren't going to let this define you. It turns out you did let it define you, but in a positive way.
Yeah, right.
I am pretty sure that the repercussions from that mistake were happening either in real time or just had happened to you when we started Deals on the Web. Is that right?
Oh,
would have been 2001,
right around
2002.
Yeah. That's right.
I did not hear. You and I were business partners. We were starting a business.
Correct.
We were talking every single night. This was our thing. We would get together. I would do the programming. You would do the other parts of it. We did all our things. We really got to know each other very, very well. Shared a lot of stories. Our sons were basically being born about the same time. It was It was all that stuff. We became very close. It wasn't until we started doing this show that I heard that story.
I couldn't tell it then, man.
I know.
It was
too raw.
It was too raw. Yeah.
I totally get it. But when you first told me the story, I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then a few days later, I'm like, wait, I knew him like when this happened to him. And I remember a couple of years later, I had a legal thing, and that's when you gave me advice. You're like, dude, whatever you can, get this out of your way quickly because lawsuits are like spiders. That phrase. But I put it all back, and in hindsight, I could connect all the dots. It was like, oh my God, he was going through a ton, and you couldn't talk about it. Like you probably needed to very badly, but you just couldn't do it. Your ego gets in the way. I get it.
I was ashamed. It was shame that kept me. And that's just why I talk to so many entrepreneurs now and tell them, like, hey, you need to connect with people because, it's bad for your everything in your life when you go through these things. Even, whether, it doesn't matter who made the mistake or what happened or whatever. And when you're in those situations that it's this massive ball of negativity weighing down on you, learning how to get through that and to carry the weight of those things as you get to the other side, it did lead me to one of my other lexicon, statements is the right spouse is a force multiplier, because with my wife was, help me get to the other side and really kind of that, okay, you screwed up, get back in the game, keep going and not let it stop you. So, this show is very cathartic in the sense that over time I became more comfortable, like, okay, I can talk about it and a certain way.
I want to make it clear. We have taught each other that lesson. Like I did not come into this, I am not fully psychologically developed, and I certainly didn't come into this show nearly as developed as I am now. This show I've always said to people, if you want to learn the most about me, listen to this show. Yeah. Because this show's the one where it's the most raw and open. Yeah.
Yeah. Because a lot of times we come in and we don't have a topic. You're like, what do you want to talk about? Well, there's always stuff going on around you that you're just like, oh, let's do some business therapy and let's talk about X and let's talk about Y.
And sometimes our business therapy is very overt. We say, I have this thing going on. And sometimes listener Terry has a problem.
Yeah, of course.
And listener Terry sometimes might be asking for a friend. That's right.
Yeah. And so I tell people that I have this, for all my coaching clients, I always say I have an exercise, just 1 page a day. You need to write 1 page a day. And I only have one rule, is you have to share it with somebody. You could share it with me. You can share it with wife, your girlfriend, a kid, a business partner, whatever it is. You can share it online. You could post it in a post. But it's the same concept I learned on this show. One of the biggest lessons that I learned from you, Dave, is consistency. And I'll never forget, when we first started this, you're like, okay, here's the deal. We have to start recording, and we have to show up at the same time, and we have to do it at the same time every week so people know what's to expect. And, I'm kind of this pirate entrepreneur that just whatever, let's go. But learning that, and then learning later that, most podcasts don't make it through 10 episodes, right? 99% of them or something like that.
Oh, it's a huge number. Yeah, it's vast majority. Correct.
Yeah, and this is episode 617.
But to me, when I see somebody say that, and it is true, like the stats, you don't have to massage the numbers terribly to get to that. The stats say that most shows die before they hit double-digit episode numbers. And to me, I didn't know that when I started because that wasn't known. It was a long time ago. But now that is the kind of thing that would fuel me. It's like, wait, all I have to do is make it to 10 episodes and I'm in the 1%?
Yeah.
That's easy. That's easy. But you're right. As the pirate entrepreneur and many podcasters, all of the ones that I talk to are pirate entrepreneurs. And I just tell them, look, it's great that your life doesn't have to exist on a set schedule. But here's the thing. As soon as you want to start having an audience that sticks with you, they are going to rely on you.
That's
and
right.
So they do have lives that revolve around schedules. So you have to deliver for them.
Yeah.
Plus,
I have episodes. I go to refresh my podcast app and I'm like, where is it? Where's the one I listen to every day at 10 a.m.?
That's the thing. Right. Right.
Yeah. And I think that, also thinking of it as a business is a very important concept. Is when I start things, I'm starting a company here. We have an LLC. We're starting a business. I'm not saying that, I'm going to start this business and this is how revenue is going to go and it's going to keep going up, 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 up. It doesn't work that way.
That's not what I think of when I start a business. I'm like you. I think of the logistics, the infrastructure.
Yes. And part of that is consistency and building and also developing best practices and learning and documenting and capturing data about what works. And I've done the same thing with my content business that I started, and it is a business. I have an assistant now. I'm just hiring a new bookkeeper / data person to help me.
Amazing.
So we're building out this team that is because you're taking it seriously, and that's
Amazing.
How you turn something. You create something from nothing. That's what's happened. And I'll share with you. Consistency. I didn't monetize this business until late July, almost August. And I've got, I'd say 3 or 4 different revenue stacks in this business so far.
Sure.
I get paid to post on X. I get monetized. It's not a lot, but it's probably, they just sent me a 1099 and it was $1,800 since
6 months, essentially.
6 months. Okay. And I get paid I have subscribers on X that generates about $7,000 a year.
Okay.
I have guides.
So we're at $9,000. Yep.
Yeah. I have guides that I created that just people are like, I need to know how to do this. How do you grow on X? How do you buy stuff from Costco, liquidation auction? So I create these little guides and I sell them on Gumroad. And this in the last 6 months has generated $6,800 in revenue.
Okay.
And I book phone calls and help people with coaching. And I have I have a couple programs. So since late July, I just got all my stuff together to hand out to to my accountant. It's about $26,000.
Amazing.
And
but here's the thing, folks. $26,000 seems like I don't know what that seems like to you.
To some people, it's like, oh my gosh, that's a ton of money. To the other people are like, dude, that's nothing. And
but
I'm in the middle.
It's a side hustle.
Yeah,
it's a side hustle for you right now, and who knows what it's going to become. But,
that's right.
But also, that is the culmination. I mean, certainly we make money doing this podcast too. However, for this business of yours, that is the culmination of, I'll say, at least 10 years of, and probably
25 years.
Right. Exactly. You're pushing all this, and you're just now, like, the tip of the iceberg is starting to break through from the revenue side. 10 years to overnight success, folks.
And this is my 2-week experiment. Your concept. This is the experiment to, like, are people interested? Okay, I started with 541 followers in January of last year, and I have almost 34,000 followers today.
Yeah, you don't get $1 per follower. That'd be nice.
Damn it. That would be great.
You're a little shy. You're about 80 cents a follower, man.
That's right. That's right. So, okay, that people will listen to you. Okay, check that box. And then now, how do you do this? And well, would people actually pay for something? That's crazy. Who would pay me for this? Okay, try that. That's something. Now, so you just keep kind of experimenting and leveling up. Experimenting. When I turn on subscriptions on X, I'm like, who's going to subscribe to my content on X? Well, 108 people have subscribed in the last, I just turned that on a couple months ago.
Amazing.
So, right. And so you don't learn unless we did the episode on Wednesday about riding the wave, getting involved in trends. If you're not in the water, you will never catch the wave, right?
Oh, a Shannon Jean phrase, folks, right there.
You have to be here learning, figuring out. I started the subscribers because I want to host a community, right? I want to build a community of entrepreneurs.
Yes.
I want to learn about reselling, liquidation, auctions, everything else.
Yeah, your thing.
That's my thing. So I'm like, well, I'm going to charge, it's only $5. I call it the $5 mastermind. So I've learned how to manage over 100 people in this community and what they expect from me and how I interact with them. And now, this week, I'm launching that community that's going to take it to another level. And I just wouldn't have had the knowledge of how to do it had I not done this, quote, Dave's 2-week experiment. If you don't know what that is, maybe he'll put it. You got to go back at businessbrain.show and search for experiment. You'll find the episode on that. It's tremendous. So the key here is just getting involved and getting.
If I may,
you tell me the key.
Yeah, because I get to watch you do it. The key is twofold. One is be willing to do the work and want to further things. But that, like, everybody's willing to do the work if there's payoff on the other end. The thing that always impresses me about you, and it's certainly true here, is you've had plenty of success. You could certainly sit and rest on your laurels and say, hey, you could rest on your ego. I don't want to say you could rest on your laurels. But you don't. You came into this with full beginner's mind.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, hey, I'm an idiot with this. I'm going to make mistakes. Please don't take that the wrong way.
No, I totally make them all the time.
But that's the thing, is you come in with like, all right, well,
I don't know.
I'm a blank slate. I'm going to screw this up. I'm going to learn. I'm going to try things. I'm going to fail. I'd like to fail, like all those things. And that is your superpower. And it is something you've leveraged yet again here.
Yeah. And I did a post earlier this week. I found this great phrase, and it was up on a billboard on the side of a building. And it said, "Don't call me lucky. I have failed more times than you have tried."
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that post, 2.6 million people saw that post. It's ridiculous. And so I think I earned $100 from X.
Yeah, $100
for that
Ooh,
one.
Hey, you know what? $100 $100. That's it. Yes.
Exactly right.
Yes.
And so, but yeah, it's
don't be too proud. I say that your ego gets out of the way. It does, but it's the pride. Like your pride is it. You definitely are a proud person and should be and deservedly. I don't want to say should be deservedly, but your pride isn't wrapped up in what you have done in the past. It's wrapped up in what you're currently doing and learning about and all of that.
And I've learned so much. And
it's crazy. You're a sponge, man.
It's amazing. Yeah. And I will tell you, one of the really interesting things that I've learned, and I think it would be a good topic for an episode next week, is don't confuse what you're selling with the delivery system that you're using to reach your customers. And I didn't really understand the concept, but now it's like smashed me in the face last week. It's amazing. Yeah,
yes.
So come back next week and listen to us as we break that down.
Yes. Oh, I love it. Oh, yeah. I've already started making notes about what that actually means. Yeah, perfect. Feedback at businessbrain.show. Send in your stuff. We've got some time allotted next week to answer some of your questions. So send them in. Feedback at businessbrain.show. And if you have an extra moment after you send in that feedback, go to businessbrain.show/review. We would absolutely love to hear your reviews and see them on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all that. It means a lot to us. Thanks for hanging out. Keep living that charmed life. We'll see you next week.
All right.
And we're out. Yep.
Smile, because there's 718 streamers, and I want to take a snapshot. That's amazing. I'm going to point. Can I point to that? Wait, let me see.
Yeah, you can point to it. You just have to. Nope. Other way. You're almost there. There it is.
Almost there. Okay, hold on. Got it. That's cool. That's awesome. 719. Thank you so much for hanging out on the live stream.
Love that.
And this concept of delivery systems versus what you're selling.
No, I mean, the word I wrote was after I captured that topic was pivot, because a lot of times it's not your business that's pivoting. It's your mindset that's pivoting, because you learn what you actually do for a living. Yes.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Awesome.
But
thank
super
you.
Powerful.
Yes. Yeah, it is. So thanks for hanging out. We're gonna end the live stream, and we'll be back. Are we recording Monday or Tuesday next week?
We are recording Monday, that 4:00 time. Yeah, it's my one day at home.
Perfect. Before you go to Mexico.
Yeah, the only reason that might need to change is if there's a snowstorm here that would impact travel.
Okay.
I'm just going to go straight to Mexico and send Lisa from here whenever she can go to Mexico, and then we'll meet there. So
I could record if you bring your stuff, I could record on Sunday.
I will have stuff with me.
Okay.
Well, technically I'm on a plane Sunday.
Gotcha.
Unless I'm not.
That's right. So I mean, if you get stuck in LA and decide to fly down there Monday or whatever,
correct,
I would do that.
Okay, I'll call you. Yeah.
Awesome.
No, I'll have all my stuff with me because we're recording a full Mac Geek Gab on Friday morning as planned. Again, assuming there's like enough Wi-Fi or something. But yeah.
So. All right, smile again. We're at 7:33, so I'm very excited. Awesome. Great. Thank you, folks. We're going to end the live stream, and we'll be back here. Pretty 90% sure.
Oh yeah, I think so. The weather looks
Monday
all right.
at 1 p.m. Pacific, and that's 4 p.m. Eastern for those of you keeping track. And thanks for hanging out. We're going to end the live stream now. You'll see these episodes in your favorite podcasting app starting tomorrow. See ya.
Later.